wishes to all the teams for this launch, all of our colleagues.
And to everybody, of course, at the
Largage du
ground
Macazedem.
stations.
Master traction.
Let's sit and watch.
Igen.
Most lesz a kilövés.
À 12 de DDO, attention pour le début de la séquence d'allumage lanceur.
25 seconds. Te üljél le oda, amire sorod.
Top, agir au moins 20 secondes.
20
Largage
másodperc.
du
20
Mavic
seconds. Second
Allumage
master traction.
pilotage. À 12 de DDO.
Engine
Attention pour
ignition.
le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7,
7,
6,
6,
5,
5,
4,
4,
3,
3,
2,
2,
1,
1.
top. Et décollage.
Lift off! Lift off the Soyuz carrying the 2 Galileo satellites into a medium Earth orbit. Oh jeez, that's loud. Okay, Soyuz ascending and rupturing my eardrums probably. Ah, that's better. Can use visual of Soyuz.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Oh well. Going to telemetry. It's cloudy pretty much everywhere right now. I'm going to guess. Wait.
Wow, always
Oh, cloudy here,
impressive. There she goes, hauling herself against the gravity of our planet, which of course is pulling us back down, making life possible.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, continuing ascent.
There's one on the main core
Reload Ozzy.
stage.
Continuing ascent, so.
Ez igazából volt.
Les
Each of
attitudes du
those,
lanceur
Again,
suivant les 3 axes sont nominales. Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
And
each of those boosters, he's telling us that everything's going according to plan.
Everything is going good, that's good.
Your next 2 satellites have taken off.
Yes, you're right. Now we are very pleased that we are off the ground, for sure. We still have a long journey ahead of us, nearly 4 hours.
Sound like you said Jedi.
But it seems to be a very good start. Yeah.
Take a look at the bottom of the screen. You can see on the left the altitude.
Okay.
We're 16 kilometers above the
Les
Earth,
paramètres de structure du lanceur sont nominaux.
and our cameras have picked up more images there of Soyuz as it hurtles across the sky.
I'm hoping to get a view of Coriolis
If we're
cross.
lucky, we might even see the boosters falling away in about half a minute.
Roughly 30 seconds until
At the
booster
bottom
set.
of the screen is the distance from the pad. That's
Paramètres propulsifs
Downrange.
sont conformes à l'attendu.
the distance if you were to draw a line along the Earth, and on the right-hand side the speed.
God damn it. Oh,
We can hear the
Coriolis
launcher
cross.
as it flies over the delayed sound there. And
Yep,
this
there we
is the
go.
scheduled moment for the boosters to fall away. We don't need them anymore. They have done their
Coriolis
job.
cross.
They have burnt their propellant, and we can see superb
Oh.
images here from a previous
Séparation des
launch.
propulseurs.
Coriolis cross.
VGD.
And we have confirmation that the separation of the boosters has
Has
indeed
occurred.
occurred. So we're burning the main core stage now. Folk here call it the Block A, Sylvain.
Yes,
Okay,
you're right.
okay.
It burns for just under 5 minutes. So it burns liquid oxygen and kerosene.
RP want to be more precise.
Little word about confirmations. You might have noticed that we get schedule events, and
Stabilisation
then
correcte suite à la séparation des blocs.
slightly later we get the confirmation. That's because we are seeing key moments happening at the right time, but we get the confirmations of those milestones just fractionally later. That's
Okay.
perfectly normal.
Yeah, you're right, because it takes a little time for the information to get from the launcher to the range operations manager here in the Guyana Space Center. So that's because it goes via
Déroulement du
Moscow.
vol est nominal.
He calls out the confirmations once he gets them. And so what we are seeing are the milestones when they are scheduled to happen.
95 kilometers altitude,
There at the front of the vehicle
180
is the fairing. We saw it earlier. It's housing the satellites. They're inside.
100
there.
kilometer
It's got
altitude.
several jobs.
It's in space
most
now.
notably, it's protecting the satellites from the
That's it.
rigors of the
No, no,
launch.
no.
Yeah. So we are having, for instance, acoustic vibrations at liftoff, so very loud friction. So the launcher is flying through the dense part of the atmosphere at very high speed. So it's very hot outside the fairing.
And that friction is dissipating now, because if
Fairing
you look
sap.
at the bottom of the screen, we're 114 kilometers above the Earth, and we don't need the fairing anymore. So
Séparation des deux demi-couacs.
it's just fallen away. We've had confirmation, and we can now see your 2 babies.
Yes, yeah, we see them quite well. So we see the golden part there is a frigate,
Frigate.
and then on top,
Du lanceur suivant ces 3
The
axes.
dispenser and satellites.
you see our 2 satellites with the dispenser in the middle to hold them.
If you look on the right-hand side of the screen, you can still see it there.
Yes, correct. Then you see now we start to see
130
the
kilometer
panel
altitude,
that
350
will
kilometer
face
downrange.
Earth when it is in orbit. So you see the antennas.
Which
Here.
ones are the antennas?
The round part. There is the navigation antenna, the one which will broadcast navigation signals.
3.4 kilometers per
And
second.
as it turns, you see now the
400
solar
kilometer
panels,
downrange,
the
140 kilometer
rectangular
altitude.
part.
And they're the two grey rectangles facing us. They're going to deploy once we separate the satellites and inject them onto their orbit. You get a better picture of them there.
Oh, engine cut off.
You see them now again.
And they'll unfold like a butterfly coming out of its cocoon.
Second stage ignition.
So we are now getting the separation of the second stage. We lit or ignited our third stage engine. And we have confirmation of that we have ignited the third stage engine, which we do before we get rid of the second stage engine. That's a peculiarity of Soyuz. Here we go. Let's take another look at that launch earlier this evening. That was 5.5 minutes ago nearly.
I love the Soyuz.
Pretty impressive. Never get tired of seeing that.
Same.
Les paramètres propulsifs du bloc I sont nominaux.
Look, I continue
There
ascent.
are various different bodies involved in the governance of the Galileo program.
Altitude 170 kilometers,
Yes, you're right. So
downrange
these are
680
the
kilometers,
architect
speed
of the
4.23
system.
kilometers per second.
We design and develop the system, and we are in charge of making it work. The GSA is the entity in charge of providing the services, and of course the European Commission is the program manager.
Just to explain to anyone who hasn't seen a launch before, top right-hand side of the screen is what we call the trajectory.
Yeah, that a bit.
The white dot.
Du lanceur sont conformes à l'attendu, tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
That's the
The white dot
telemetry.
on that curve is the actual position of the launch vehicle. The curve itself is the planned trajectory of the vehicle. At the bottom you can see we're coming up nearly heading towards 5 kilometers a second. This is a hugely important flagship project for all Europeans.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are launching 2 additional Galileo satellites. This opens up a new phase for Galileo, leading to a fully deployed constellation and to services. It is the result of a strong commitment to make Galileo a success. And as the new
Downrange
EU
1,000
Commissioner
kilometers.
in charge of Galileo, I share this determination. I would like to thank all of those involved in today's event.
Speed 5.05
Arianespace,
kilometers.
OHB, the European Space Agency, the French National Space Agency in Kourou, and of course the
23
services of the
kilometers
European
altitude.
Commission. Additional launches are planned in 2015 and in the following years. Each of them will be another step forward for the program. Each of them will be key for Galileo. My objective is clear: provide early services by 2016 at the latest, and full services by 2020. My strategy is straightforward and focuses on 3 areas: deploying the infrastructure, providing services as they come on stream, and establishing Galileo on the market. And for this to happen, let's work, let's move forward. Thank you.
So some important strategies there from the EU, and the European Commission has taken over the role of funding Galileo. Our flight path takes us out. We're heading out across the Atlantic right now from the northeastern tip of South America, which is where we took off from.
La stabilisation du lanceur est conforme à l'attendu.
And we'll be heading out across Europe. We'll head out across Russia, down across China, Southeast Asia, heading south towards Australia, and that's where we'll be separating our satellites. And we are tracking the vehicle using ground stations
Yes,
as
you're
she
right.
flies over.
Yeah, many of them. So we'll have a boat in the middle of the Atlantic after the first one. Then we will have a station in Azores, Santa Maria. Then in Osagel, Toulouse.
Okay.
And then we will lose visibility for some minutes, and we will arrive near Australia. Perth station will take it at that moment.
Propulsion nominale du bloc I
Launch replay.
et décollage.
You can see the Soyuz. Oh, perfect.